might get in, you might not get back
Tracy?
Those have been approved. Approved. We haven't approved.
I don't need it, we're not gonna do anything.
Approve those in our next budget. That's third month this month.
Is she?
He thinks he's.
And Jim said he had to do 2 pieces of
Wait until after Jim, when he gets to D and before he sits down and
Let me do it before he gets out here, he can include it in comments.
I don't even see it. There he is. Tammy, you got the Nothing on the public here.
I just want everybody to be nice.
How many's on there?
Punching the gowns and better.
9. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call the Loudon County Commission meeting to order for February 6, 2023. I appreciate all the attendance tonight. We've got a lot of things to get through. Jim Jenkins, come to the front and tell us about the zoning changes.
And as he comes to the front, want to make an addition, want to move the zoning request for Hyde Farms Meat Processing Plant in District 3 to item E.
Okay.
And if any questions are asked, Jim's got all the facts.
That's the one we tabled, didn't we?
Yes, it's been tabled, so it's.
Are you adding it under Jim's part? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
I want that.
I'm
It'll
with
be
you.
E.
I'm with you.
Go ahead, Jim.
Item A is a resolution amending the Loudon County zoning resolution, Article 5, Section 5.046, M1 General Commercial District pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated Section 13-7-105.
Is that one of the water ones?
This is the Bitcoin mining facilities.
Okay, that's right.
No comments, B.
B is a resolution amending the municipal and regional subdivision regulations of Loudon County, Philadelphia, Greenback, and the planning regions of Lenore City and Loudon City. Article 4, departments prerequisite to final approval, C, stormwater controls. This is where we're taking detention ponds from 25-year to 100-year design and keeping them out of the special flood hazard area.
Is there anything in that would go back and put some in where the old subdivisions didn't
Unfortunately,
have
no, sir.
Be nice.
Any comments? C.
We're working on that.
This is a resolution to amend the Loudon County zoning resolution, Article 4, Section 4.170, stormwater controls pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated Section 13-7-105. This is doing the same thing in the zoning resolution.
D.
This is a resolution amending the zoning map of Loudon County, Tennessee pursuant to Chapter 7, 13-7-105 Tennessee Code annotated to rezone from A2 Rural Residential District to C2 General Commercial District. Loudon County Tax Map 025, Parcel 009.00, located at Interstate Lane, Loudon County, Tennessee, situated in the 5th Legislative District.
Mr. Chairman, that's fifth district, we'll handle that when it comes on the agenda.
Okay, number E.
That's the rezoning from A2 to M1.
Yeah, downside from 5 acres to 2 point.
And it is, he's requested to take that, amend that resolution from 5 acres to 2.18 acres, I believe, which still complies, he is connected to sewer, so that will be compliant with our regulations,
This regulation allows him then to do commercial meat processing.
along with a special exception, yes, sir.
Special exception, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll vote on those in just a little bit.
Thank you.
Before I open the meeting, Mandy Wolf, Rodney Grugan, you have a presentation to order.
Thank you, guys. We have today with us Blana Best, the Monroe County Tourism Director, and along with Jeff Rouse and Molly Lenore with Water. And we did a event called the East Tennessee Polar Plunge on January 1st, and it was a very nice 63 degrees outside. The water was not, but it was all for a great cause. And I'm going to let Blana give you a little bit of history on how the Polar Plunge came to be.
Thank you, Mandy, and thank you guys for allowing me to come over from Monroe County to say hi this evening. This is a joint partnership that Loudon and Monroe County have taken together. As you guys know, marketing for tourism is vitally important in order to keep tourism sustainable and for us to keep those marketing dollars rolling in and capture all those funds from visitors from the time they pay for fuel, lodging, food, etc. And Loudon County and Monroe County are blessed in the fact that we share a tourism asset, Tellico Lake. So this event started a few years ago, but this was the first time we were able to have it in Loudon County because of course, the pandemic kept us from doing it for a few years. So we were excited to have it in Loudon County for the very first year. So next year we'll be back in Monroe County, and then the following year back in Loudon County. So it gives us an opportunity to not only do the right thing, but to market to a niche market of our tourists that we want to attract. And this year it was phenomenal. We had a great year, and actually we're able to bring folks in from all over the region. So I'll let Mandy talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we were really excited. We hosted folks from Georgia, Florida. There were a couple Ohio folks that joined in the fun. And also regionally, we had residents from Knox County, Monroe County, McMinn County show up. So it was a great event, and it did exactly what we had hoped that it would do. And so now we want to present the funds raised from that to water. So we were able to raise $1,150 for the Water Association. The watershed of the Tellico Reservoir. So y'all come over here and let me grab a good pic. And we can clap. Yeah, that's a good thing.
There had to be money involved before I jump in the water at that temperature.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And commissioners, you don't have to go home empty-handed. We do have these wonderful shirts.
Modeling.
You were supposed to, buddy, I'll give you one too. You were supposed to take the plunge to get a shirt, but
You guys get lucky. You don't have to jump in Tellico Lake in January to get a Survivor shirt.
Did Rodney Grugan jump in?
No.
Okay, I don't hear more about it today. Rodney Grugan.
But you know who did jump in? Mandy did. She was a trooper, so I jumped in when we were in Monroe County, and so I told Mandy, I said, look, it is your turn, and she said, of course I will. And she didn't even wear a wetsuit like she promised. She was she was brave enough to just jump in. So we were excited about
Can you
just
tell me,
the
did Chase jump in? I know he was there.
Yes, he did. So thank you. We got a cool video of him jumping in too. We're gonna use for marketing next year.
Yeah, I did a double back to that.
We're gonna tag on everything. I think
Hey,
it'll
thank
be
you all for everything you did. It was a great event. I enjoyed being a part of it.
Well, thank you for coming out and supporting tourism and the
Very well.
initiatives that we have in our community for both Loudon and Monroe County. So thank you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And by the way, when you do the plunge, 85 and sunny when I go.
I'll talk to the man upstairs and see what I can arrange.
All right.
Man, I don't care. I was there.
All right, I've asked Commissioner Satterfield to open the meeting with a pledge and a prayer.
Everyone will please stand and face the flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gathering this afternoon. We pray your guidance in each and every decision made here. And Lord, we just thank you again to live in this country where we can come out and have our voice heard, regardless of what the words are. The voices are important. Be with us as we make decisions tonight. Guide our minds and our thoughts. These things we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. There were nobody signed up for the public hearing comments, so we'll move on to roll call. Tammy, call roll.
Randolph.
Here.
James.
Here.
Jenkins.
Here.
Quillen. Here.
Here.
Satterfield.
Here.
Whitfield.
Here.
Cohen.
Here.
Morrison.
We'll change your
Shaver.
name.
Here.
Waller.
Present.
Okay. Okay, next up is the adoption of today's February 6th Commission agenda. The only thing I'm going to change on the agenda is Van Shaver's comments for the annexation. I'm going to move them to the top under the zoning changes so that the people that are here for that can have their say, and if they want to leave afterwards, that's fine. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, if it pleases the commission, I let the 911 appointments that were due in February for appointment slip through. I've got those 3 appointments. I would like for the commission to approve tonight along with the other boards and committees. It's Kelly Brown, EMA Director, Don White, Little City Public Safety Director, and Chief Richard Martin, Little City Fire Department.
No problem, we'll do it. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Gary.
Can I get a motion on the agenda?
Make
to
a motion to
adopt?
approve the agenda as it's been amended.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Randolph. Any further comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next is the reading and acceptance of the December 5th, 2022 Loudon County Commission meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Make a motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver,
Second.
second by Commissioner Satterfield. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next up is general public comments. Matthew Keller. There it is.
I hope everybody got out today and enjoyed that a little bit. This will be really brief. My name is Matthew Kelly. I'm a lifelong citizen of Loudon County. I graduated from Monroe City. My wife graduated from Loudon. All 3 of my children graduated from Loudon. Battle of the Bridge was a fun week. I'm here to remind all of you of the reason that you were elected. Anyone who ran on more growth lost badly. Everyone knows growth has to happen, but it has to be controlled. Your constituents are watching. There is a vote tonight on whether to take action against Lenore City on the illegal annexation. Again, your constituents are watching. Here is something that no one on the commission realizes. This is not just a vote on whether Lenore City is in the wrong. But does the county want a lawsuit against its citizens? If you don't hold Lenore City accountable, you may have to explain in front of a judge why you did it. And looking at this room, I don't think that'd be hard to do. This is exactly my tax receipts, is to protect the citizens of Loudon County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Margaret and Dan Moore.
I'm speaking on the Greenback sewer system. You want me to speak now or later?
Go ahead, come on, you're on the list.
All right, thank you. My name is Margaret Moore. I live in downtown Greenback. Greenback truly needs a town sewer system. We need your help in achieving this. My house is not just a home, not just a house, it's a home. My mom and dad bought the house. My husband and I both live there now at 130 Elm Street. And when we die, we'll leave our house to someone in the family, an ancestor, a relative. So it truly is a home, and it's an ancestral home. My mom put a new field line in on a property in 1981. That's been more than 40 years ago. So we are pretty much living, a field line basically lasts 15 to 20 years, so we're kind of living on borrowed time right now. A few years ago, before my mom died, I considered remodeling her garage so I could be closer to her, to make an apartment, to be closer to her, so I could help her. But I checked, and putting in a new field line was not a possibility for that property because the ground wouldn't hurt. We have that problem all over Greenback, and we have had it for many years. Please help us have a more sanitary and healthful Greenback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make just
Go
one
ahead.
clarifying? The folks from Greenback are here, you know, Margaret had kind of summed it up well, and the commission knows that we've talked about this and funding it. TDEC, which is supply, which we hope we'll hear from in February this month. Mark Clinton at TAS is 100% sure that we're going to get $1.9 million for a sewer system, but the city has a 35% match. So if everybody in the city decided they wanted to hook up to the sewer, it would cost the city of Greenback $650,000. But right now, that's the part that they are expected to come up with. Well, the city of Greenback they're not Loudon and they're not Lenore City. They don't generate a tax base like those two communities do. But they desperately need and have needed. It was so bad that before we built the new school at Greenback, we had a temporary treatment plant on the grounds of Greenback School that had to treat the school sewer and so forth because the ground would not perk. And now the school board did put a sewer line up there now, and it's we need to do this. This is the I don't know if the federal government will ever come and dish out money again, but like I said, I think there's enough spare dollars in the first $5 million that the commission sees fit that we can help the city of Greenback meet their 35% matching part, of which we're not 100% sure what it's going to be right now because until we actually start the project, that 1.9 and $600 and something thousand is based on 117 hookups in the city. Right now, we have about half of that, so the price is going to come down. So the city's part's probably more than likely gonna be much less than 650,000. But these folks are here tonight to let you know in person how important it is to the folks in Greenback and District 3 that they be able to flush their commode. Now that, with that being said, so the rest of them, when we come and speak, you understand what they're here for. They're gonna help as much as they can, but they need a little more help. And that's what we're here for. Thank you, Henry.
Okay, next up is the Honorable Mayor of Greenback, Dwayne Birchfield.
Dun, 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 dun,
I took on the job of mayor. Some of you know what I was up against. Van sure does. But we had sewer in the works, and we were told that they had a survey. But being on the city council, I asked to see the survey. Never did get to see it. Well, I know that I've got 11 or 12, I don't have any piece of property, but nobody asked me. But all that sewer right there is going right down to Baker's Creek and right into the thing. And I got one lady that wants to get the state involved, health department. And I'd rather not have them in and start that, because it'd be rough on all of us.
Mhm.
But we desperately need it, and I've tried to get this community, the people in town to know what's going on. You know, they've been left in the dark so long, and they all think that you guys, ladies, that we're ready to step to. Don't do nothing for us, what they say. And that's what I'm up against, trying to change their attitude so we can get something done and know that it's gonna be done, but it's gonna take you all to help us on this sewer thing. And right now, I don't know of anything else that we've ever asked for. I could probably get more money, but bad part about it is, we operating in the black. So, that's kind of weird that the more you're in debt, the more you get. Well, anyway, I would appreciate all the help that I could possibly get for the citizens of Greenback. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Mike Thornton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. My name is Mike Thornton. I'm a retired Army officer. I served for 37 years. Now I live in Tellico Village. I'm proud to say Henry Cullen is my county commissioner. Words can't express how happy my wife and I were to be living in East Tennessee and Loudon County in particular. It's a great place to live. It's safe. Local government is good and seems to be responsive, and we love it here. Our biggest problem was finding out how some way we can give back to our community. That solution came pretty quickly in July 2021 with the Loudon County Sheriff's Benevolent Fund. This wasn't created by me, but there were some ladies and people in the Tellico Village Conservative Club concerned about the needs of our deputies and what would happen if they should need some assistance. About a year later, or sometime later in February 22, you all know Sergeant Chris Jenkins, what an unfortunate happened. Unfortunately, he was injured on the interstate, and at least our fund was ready because of the foresight of some people in Tellico Village to be able to assist his family. So the intent of the fund is to support our deputies and our families if there's an emergency. Doesn't just have to be something as catastrophic as happened to Sergeant Jenkins. Could be something like a deputy is injured in the line of duty. Insurance, of course, is going to pay his medical bills. Maybe he can't. Maybe he needs some help in getting in and out of his house. And so what we've established with the chief deputy, he would call us and say if there's a need, like in this case, an injured deputy, and maybe some money is needed to assist in helping with the house. Could also be a house fire or any kind of emergency, unforeseen emergency that brings the families of our deputy sheriffs into peril. We stand ready to help. So some people say, well, insurance payments, but the problem is sometimes, like in the case of Sergeant Jenkins, it takes a while to get a death certificate, and families have immediate needs. And that would also be true if one of our deputies were injured. Since our fund is a 501c3, and since last August, we raised over $31,000 in our community, thanks to the great people in Tellico Village and other places in Loudon County. We've only written 3 checks in the existence of our fund for $22,096. All 3 checks went to the Chris Jenkins family. So we want to be ready in the future to support our deputies, and we want our families to know they're there, that we're there waiting and helping them. My request is that I've talked to the finance department, I've made a request for funding for next year. Also, if there's any, I know there's an individual district, this is a touchy subject here, but I know there's an individual ARPA district initiative. And our request is if there's some money left over, a small amount in your respective districts, that you would consider moving it to our 501c3, the Loudon County Sheriff's Benevolent Fund. Also, we just want to spread the word and let you know about it. It's a great organization, the people have worked really hard in Tellico Village, but we love all of Loudon County. We want to support our deputies and our families. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. And that's a well worth organization. I can tell you firsthand, I won't go into it. Wendy Fitzworth, did I say that right?
Yeah, that's like boobies with 2 T's. Great guy, really bad name, but I've had it for 24 years. So, the mayor was the mayor was speaking earlier, and he mentioned a redheaded stepchild. And actually, my best friend, I graduated from Greenback High School, and my best friend, Christy Muncie, was an actual real-life redheaded stepchild. We use that on her all the time. It's great. I am the city events coordinator for the city of Greenback, which is probably just a made-up name, so I'll do stuff for free. I don't really know, but that's what I do. And I also own the L&N Train Depot there in town, and I own the church that's below the depot, and I own 3 lots next to the drugstore there. And so I have a great stake in the fact that we're trying our best, and this close to sewer. Some things that I want to point out to that is when it rains more than a sprinkle, the drugstore and diner has to borrow my keys and send their customers across the street to the depot to use the bathrooms there because their land doesn't perk. When we decorate our Christmas tree in the middle of town, which is right in front of those lots that I have at the drugstore, we have to be sure that the kids don't step in the stinky water that's around the Christmas tree. It's just like a flood. I'm not saying that it's gray water or not gray water. I'm not saying it is gray water. We don't know. It's just water we don't want to touch. So it makes it difficult to have a business in the town. Now, I heard people speaking about growth, but Greenback's a little bit in a different situation than most of Loudon County, where we kind of want a little growth. We kind of stagnated over the past 40 some odd years, and since the new mayor has come over, Dwayne has, we have really revitalized the town. We have a Festival of Lights where we had, like, last year, I think 42 houses were in a competition for Christmas lights. We have horse and carriage rides downtown when that happens, crafts for the kids. We have Santa there, and every kid that comes can get a gift from him. We really do a whole lot in town. We have Easter, breakfast with the Easter Bunny, things like that. And of course, our 4th of July parades and Christmas parades are famous. They're wonderful. But once again, it's just an unsanitary kind of mess there. And I don't know how you all feel when you drive through your towns and see a lot of empty, closed down buildings just sitting there with nothing going on. It's very depressing. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, well, there's a building. Okay, that's great. So in Greenback, we have the depot, the diner, the post office, and a little, the home decor resale store. That's our 4 things, and a blinking red light, which is great. We love it. But the thing is we have had businesses that have come in. We had a lady that wanted to start a bakery in Greenback, a cupcake bakery, and everyone was so excited, especially the diner and the lady that has the little home decor shop, because that means there will be traffic coming in to town. But they couldn't do that because we don't have sewer. Correct. I wanted to put a kitchen area in the depot because we rent it for weddings and things like that, a refrigerator, little sink, dishwasher, that kind of thing. I can't because we don't have sewer. At the church that I own down below the depot, which was actually the old grain storage area,
Excuse me.
I talk so fast I run out of spit. Anyways, down there, when we are at church, that ground doesn't perk and we can't put in a bathroom. So if the kids have to go to the bathroom, we have to get an adult to walk them up to the depot so they can use the bathroom during church. And it's just a mess. My dad acquired this property back around 2010 after he was diagnosed with brain cancer, and that's why I've ended up with a bunch of property that won't perk and is worth it. It just isn't. That's okay, whatever, it's pretty, you know, it's great. But still, if he would have just left that cash, would have been fine, but he didn't. So now I own a lot of worthless property in Greenback that I would like to be able to use, but also the property that I do have, I would like to make efficient. When you try to rent a space for an event coming up, the first thing they do is like, where's the little kitchen at? I'm like, can't get one, no sir, we don't have it. And the old Regions Bank, we've had three sets of people, couples, that came down there to look at leasing or purchasing it for a restaurant, like a little pizza place. Can't do it. I mean, we just can't have anything, do you know what I mean? We can have brown water or a Christmas tree. That's about where we're at right now. And I don't know. I was telling the gentleman back there, and somebody said, you said we want to be able to flush our toilets. And I think really it's getting to the point where people are just going to the bathroom in the co-op parking lot and walking away from it. And we really need something better than that.
Well, you're right. This is, at one time, like I said, we've talked about this. While I was still at Greenback School, we had to close some classrooms temporarily because
Yeah.
the septic tank had backed up into the kindergarten part of the wing and when you go over and dig, it's slate everywhere, and that's kind of prevalent throughout the city. And I don't think the health department or anything, they will issue any septic tanks permits on Morganton Road. So there is a sewer line that comes right up to school. So it's a tough situation, and these folks are just asking for us to see if we can we've about got it. We're that close.
We just need like a little bit more of that 5 million, just like that much more.
We're looking at, when it's all said and done, maybe 200 or 250,000 of that ARPA money, that we can do that, and we'll name a street after somebody.
Anybody, whichever one approves it, we'll name it. Definitely, or Tidsworth Street, that would be another good one. But one thing, I don't know if you're familiar with the topography of Greenback, but it's flat. We have one little hill on Tennessee Avenue, I think goes up just a little bit, but everything else just flat as a flitter. Now, the guys who pump your tanks, when they get full, your septic tanks when they get full, they will probably come behind me and say this is a terrible idea because they are making bank there. Because every time it rains, you just see them. It's like a swarm of locusts right there just pumping it all. So we could really use your help, and we would really appreciate your help. We are trying to grow our tourism, like you were talking about with the Polar Plunge, which is a fantastic thing. And we want people to see Greenback as a vital, very, very vital living place that they can enjoy and get together with their people in their community and just make it the best it can be. And that's what I'm asking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. Rio. It is bad, has been.
Commissioners, thank you for affording me this time. And I want to thank everyone that's here to support our cause. Looks like there's few of us out here, some that I know and some that I don't, but I appreciate you all. My name is Rito Valeriano. I live at 680 Highway 70 West, which is just west of W&W Properties LLC, those 24 acres that's in dispute, and due east of Red Heaven Ranch, Tim and Tammy's beautiful property there. They're both adversely affected by the unlawful annexation by Lenore City. As we represented a few weeks ago, Loudon County took legal action in the early 2000s to address 40 properties that Lenore City unlawfully annexed and were clearly outside the urban growth boundary, UGB. Lenore City lost that legal battle, and it led to the interlocal agreement signed by both parties in 2005. In order to prevent future unlawful land grabs by Lenore City under the volunteer cooperation of landowners looking to maximize their profits, whether it made sense or not for adjoining tract owners and their adverse effects. I might add that the Ross property, now owned by Travis Fuller, Mike Ross, DBA, Bell West Point LLC, although they now might be called Home Development Incorporated, was never shown as being inside the original 40 out parcels or parcels that were integrated into the UGB at the time the agreement was signed in 2005. The UGB clearly delineates those areas that have a much higher density entitlement and are not considered rural or agricultural zoned. The interlocal agreement also outlined the process under Terms and Conditions 5 that a landowner would need to legally follow to be worthy of consideration. 1, landowner must come in front of this legal body right here, the Loudon County Commission, first, for initial approval. 2, landowner must own the adjoining tract inside the UGB. It's that simple. Both steps were violated by W&W Properties, LLC, Mr. Dan Smith, perhaps as agent, and arguably the owners, whichever entity they call themselves now, on the back 128.71 acres, have also violated this process. The Bell West Point LLC 128.71 acre tract, now we believe Home Development Incorporated, is also being called into question, since it originally was not one of the original 40 parcels released by Loudon County to Lenore City in 2005, purchased at or around December 14, 2020, from the Ross heirs, Gary Ross, deceased Carol Ross Harris, October 2020, and the deceased Ernestine Ross Bumgarner in January of that same year. I went back and looked up what latches meant, since it was being thrown around the Lenore City meeting a few weeks ago by the lawyers clearly in favor of the unlawful land grabs. Latches is an equitable defense or doctrine. A defendant, in this case Lenore City, who invokes the doctrine is asserting that the claimant has delayed in asserting its rights and, because of this delay, is no longer entitled to bring an equitable claim. It seems to me an actually clever but misleading description crafted by these attorneys. It assumes to me that latches applies if a lawful action took place. I believe, as does Red Heaven Ranch, that an unlawful violation of state statute and the interlocal agreement supersedes any assertion here of latches. Furthermore, zero communication has been found formally on the record that Lenore City gave Loudon County or the public notice that the annexation was performed, and more importantly, performed properly under the agreement adjudicated by the state of Tennessee and codified by both parties in 2005. As an aside to the unlawful process that will be exposed with discovery and proven under a court of law, hopefully after tonight, to clarify the map that their city attorney felt less inclined to discuss, the 128.71 acre tract behind me is argued to be zoned R3. Their city zoning allows 24 units per acre, or approximately 2,976 units. Their city attorney has referenced multiple times the developers Mike Ross and Travis Fuller have 11 million already in it, quote unquote, and are building just 250 dwellings. That's about $44,000 a key. Any developer worth his salt knows you cannot build affordable or low-income housing with that cost structure before you put the first bucket in the ground. But if you have almost 3,000 units, that only makes the number less than 4,000 a key, and those numbers work handsomely. Do not be fooled. Maybe a phase 1 is 250 units. Now tack on W&W Properties' request for R2 zoning, according to their application, at 18 units per acre, and now you have approximately 432 additional units, bringing the entire total to over 3,400 dwellings. The infrastructure alone to support that is over $20 million, which would be passed on to the taxpayers and far exceeds any legal battles or bills incurred in these arguments. Not to mention dumping 1,000 vehicles onto Highway 70 West and Highway 321, a stone's throw from our adjoining properties. Condemnation will require Redhead and Ranch and me to dedicate land along Highway 70 for deceleration and acceleration lanes. In other words, a huge, costly mess and very dangerous to the current commuter traffic on either highway. Not to mention more police officers, more firemen, the infrastructure we just discussed. It'd be a mess. I know how difficult a vote to litigate might be for a few on commission, and the impact of that vote to you. To the commission as a voting body, I appreciate greatly your continued support, genuine consideration, and courage to do the right thing and protect us and the law that's been in place since 2005 to avoid us all being up here again to protect our rights as landowners and the county's agreements under state law. Thank you very for your time. Appreciate it.
Tim Purcell.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity. Deja vu. It wasn't that long ago I was standing in this exact same spot. And if you'll give me a minute, I want to say thank you as well. Holy cow. I see a bunch of friends, some family, and probably a bunch of people I don't know as well. But I do know the folks that are here, the faces I see represent not just Loudon County, but they're from the city as well. And they support this position that you just heard from Rio. You're about to hear from me, and I apologize, was it Mark Kelly that spoke earlier? That you heard earlier from him. So let me get right to it. First, my name is Tim Purcell. I do appreciate your time tonight. I live immediately adjacent to the Dan Smith property, W&W. It literally is, I can throw a rock from my upstairs garage over the property and probably almost hit your house on the other side. So that's how narrow this piece of property is. Number two, a few weeks ago, I spoke to you about the impact of this annexation and what it would have on my ranch and way of life. It was interesting to hear the city attorney on the radio talk show on Sunday speak about this and how the land we live on is not rural. Well, clearly he doesn't care because he's never been there. You could not drive out to our ranch or the cattle ranch or the strip of land between us and not say, wow, that looks like a farm. Wow, that looks rural. It doesn't look anything like the city because it's not supposed to. My family owns 44 acres on the other side of Rio. It is a slice of heaven. It's called Red Heaven here in Loudon County. I'm going to walk through very quickly what Rio said in a very abbreviated version. I think these are the facts of the case. In early 2000s, as Rio said, Lenore City attempted to illegally annex 40 pieces of property. The word illegally is actually really important and very true. The reason why I know that, it was adjudicated by a judge who said it was illegal and forced both sides to sign an agreement in the judgment that said they wouldn't do it again. And that agreement that was signed was called the interlocal agreement. And it was put in place to stop anything like what's happening right now, and it was signed in 2005. The agreement sets standards by which Lenore City, using a map called the Urban Growth Boundary, could or could not annex. The UGL is a map that defines those set boundaries and dictated what Lenore City could or couldn't do. Both properties in question, both Bell West and the property between Rio and I, are outside the UGL. Lenore City annexed them anyway in an illegal way in direct conflict with the court-ordered agreement and in violation of state law, Tennessee state law, which none of us can change. So the vote tonight, let me start by saying that some of you may disagree with the way we view the facts in the case. I respect that. I respect each of you, I really do. You are in a very, very difficult spot. I get that. The comments that follow are very direct. I only ask that you don't take them personally. I mean no personal disrespect to anyone. My comments are directed at the situation that's in front of us, not to any individual. And I do respect the difficulty of the situation you're facing. Tonight you're going to vote one of two ways. Support pursuing action against the illegal annexation that Lenore City did, or not pursue action. I get it. One of these votes takes courage and conviction. The other does not. It's actually a simple solution to the problem. By voting to drop this matter, you can, at least temporarily, make the problem go away. No lawsuit, no more drama, no more droning on from people like me, complaining about our cares and worries. For those of you connected to Lenoir City, you would no longer have to worry about what the mayor might say or what he might do. But by voting to pursue this matter, alternatively, you can reclaim your rightful role as Loudon County leaders and proud representatives of the citizens of Loudon County and all these fine people behind me. That decision brings more drama. Yes, it introduces more work and more turmoil, and no, it's not easy. But it's what the voters of Loudon County will be expecting you to do on their behalf. In summary, my family and the voters that are here behind me tonight are praying that you will do two things. Do the right thing, represent your county tonight, not just the city. Vote to pursue legal remedy and regain your rights as Loudon County Commissioners. And I thank you all.
Thank you. Joe Farmer.
Good evening. My name is Joel Farmer. I live off Hines Valley and Wheat Road in Manchafers District. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I don't think I can match those last two.
Don't have to, brother.
But I think it's important you hear me out on just something that's personal for me. I don't live far from these people here, obviously. So back during COVID, when all the school stuff, my wife says the only thing that came out of COVID any good was all the mamas figured out what they were trying to teach in school. I hear amen to that. Oh, yeah. So my son asked me, and Buddy's met my son Carson, he's 26, he runs our farm, and he sent me a text, says, Daddy, whatever you vote on, we want to keep our farm. You don't know what I'm doing here. And I wasn't planning on coming up here. But he asked me about a year ago, he says, Dad, he said, how'd y'all let that happen? I said, what are you talking about? He said, the schools and the curriculum and the woke and getting blacks against the whites and all that stuff. And I didn't have an answer. But you know what I finally figured out, and I told him the truth. I said, I was raising my family trying to make a living, and I expected our elected leaders to take care of that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I said, I was wrong. I never got involved, so here I am. I grew up in Farragut my whole life, graduated there, my kids graduated there. We bought and moved out here 10 years ago. We got a small 50-acre farm. My son has passed up my business. I make a hell of a lot more money than the farm does, I can tell you that. And he's passed it up because he wants to continue farming and be part of this community. And I just think you guys ought to listen to the Farragut story. If you don't know it, I'm sure all of you know enough if you live close enough. I went through there. I'm 59 years old this month. And I went to school there, grew up there, my kids did. They grew so fast that we got to the point where my kids were in high school and we lived, you know where North Shore and Everett Road intersect, not North Shore, Kingston Pike and Everett Road is?
Yep.
I live less than a quarter of a mile from right down there, go down Everett Road, turn on Union Road. We came that close to having to send our kids all the way to Hardin Valley. And you know why that was? Because we grew so fast, there wasn't enough schools, there wasn't enough blah, 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 blah. So you start realizing when you look back, we were like, didn't affect us. Well, guess what? It doesn't affect me. My farm's 5 miles down the road. I had a guy out shooting on our farm this weekend. He said, let me tell you something. What's going to happen here is this is the first precedent that's going to be set.
Right.
Then it's going to be your farm. And it may be your farm. And the word is it in. I got a text from my son again. He said, we just want to have our property. That's why we live here. So if there's anything I can ask all of you here is, two things. One, I'm 59, this is my home, and I'm gonna make up for the time I didn't spend coming and listening. Because I didn't listen and things got out of hand. We trust you, we love you, you're leaders in our community, you were elected, but you can damn sure be unelected. And I don't say that trying to be disrespectful. Excuse me,
Is
ma'am?
that a threat?
No, ma'am, it's not a threat. It's not a threat. Did you take it as a threat? I'm asking, did you take that as a threat?
You can proceed. I just
Okay.
thought it was uncalled for.
Well, I tell you what's uncalled for to me is when we have to come in here and I find out there's people on the county commission that works for the city of Lenore City. And I'd like to know what your job is, who's your direct report. Is it a conflict of interest when you go to vote? If you work for the mayor of Lenore City, which I think you do you feel like that's a conflict of interest when you
I'm
vote?
over maintenance. I do
Who's your
nothing.
direct boss?
Amber Scott.
Okay. All I'm saying, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just saying,
I have nothing to do with anything of that
you're
goes
the
on.
only one that voted no last time, I know that.
I know.
So I'm just saying, we're here to respect you and we're here to support you. But you need to know that we're all here, we're involved because we're concerned and we ask you to do the right thing and we ain't going away. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Mary Aker.
My name is Mary Aker. I live at 131 Elm Street, Greenback. I'm here tonight to tell you a little bit about what we think, or I think, of Greenback. It's been my home for more than 40 years. I've lived in the same house for almost 40 years. When I first came there to live, I put in a double line septic field. It takes up my backyard. I've also had to put 2 double tanks, 100-gallon tanks in my backyard, trying to be able to live there. Now, after it was guaranteed for 20, well, it's been almost 40. With the drainage out of the city where I live and everything, we have a lot of water. And just like Wendy said, it ain't pretty and it don't smell too good. I love my home. I want to stay in my home, hopefully till I die. And I've done a lot of work on my home. And I would hope and pray that all of you, if you come to the parades in Greenback and see all the people and everything, they come by my house. I shovel water out the road for them this year so they can get by. Anytime it rains, anytime, it doesn't have to be a hard rain, but anytime it rains, some of us can't even flush our commodes, can't take a shower, can't wash our dishes. And I am at a point that I told the mayor at our last meeting that within 5 years, I won't even be able to live in my home. So I would ask that you would do all that you possibly could do to help us get the sewage system in that city, because it's a beautiful city. It's a small city, yes, but it's a beautiful city, and the people in it are great people, all of them. And I appreciate it, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Pat Hunter.
My name is Pat Hunter, and I would like to address a couple of items on your agenda. First of all, I'm a little bit concerned that the Public Records Commission appointees are not being named tonight. This has been, in my opinion, stalled for a couple of months. I'm not sure why, because we desperately need two people to serve as the genealogist and the archivist. The old courthouse is being renovated. The public has been squarely behind the support of the old courthouse being renovated and restored. On your agenda, you have item G, consideration of request to approve a resolution to approve expenditure of a portion of Loudon County's allocation of the American Rescue Plan Act 2021, ARPA, to renovate the county office building, cost not to exceed $447,913. That is in addition to $200,000 that has already been moved last fiscal year. So that means you're gonna spend nearly $750,000 to renovate the county office building. Now, the soil conservation, they were displaced when the courthouse burned. They were promised an office and they're getting an office. But the renovation includes much more than that. So the old courthouse is being taken care of. The soil conservation is being taken care of. The only thing that isn't being taken care of are the old archives. They've been sent to be cleaned. They are part of this community's history. Now, we hear about Greenback. One thing I like about Greenback, they're very community oriented. They have a great historical society. They take pride in their community. And we too take pride in our community. The old archives deserve a good home. We're taking care of the courthouse, the soil conservation. We're building extra offices at the courthouse, at the county office building. What we're not talking about are the archives, and that is a shame. Because those records have sat in the courthouse basement for over 100 years. And the only thing that I hear is that we have bought a new storage facility, and I hope that the archives, when they're returned, are not put back in boxes or destroyed. So I think it's time for this community, our leaders, to have a serious discussion about the archives and what we're going to do with our history, our community. And I hope that delaying the appointees isn't just another stall tactic to try to just kick the can down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the public comments. Jim Jenkins? Jim Jenkins.
How about a 5-minute break? We've been at it an hour. Or do you want to get through Jim?
I would do
Let Jim
Jim.
go, and I think our part will be pretty quick.
Okay, come on, Jim.
Cause I'm with you, I could go right now.
But not in Greenback.
Okay.
Just quick tonight. Yes, that was game.
All right. Rather than reread everyone, item A.
Make a motion to approve item A.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion to approve item A, seconded by Commissioner Waller.
Voice
Any
vote.
further discussion?
Voice vote.
We're gonna voice vote.
Voice vote.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? B.
Make motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Whitfield, seconded by Commissioner Waller.
Voice vote, please.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? C,
Motion to approve. Second.
got a motion to approve C by Commissioner Waller, seconded by Commissioner Randolph. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. D,
Mr. Chairman, this is a rezone request in mine and Joe's district in the 5th district. It was unanimously denied at the planning commission. It's been to the Loudon City Planning Commission because it's in their urban growth boundary. You said they concurred with Loudon County, is that correct?
That's correct.
So my recommendation will be, my motion will be that we accept, now we gotta get this one right. We accept the planning commission's recommendation to deny. Is that how you want it?
Sounds good.
Second.
So a yes will be to
deny
deny.
it. A no
would be to approve it.
Maybe we need to work on their motions a little bit.
Okay, I got it. All right, any further discussion? Tammy, call the roll on this one.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen. Aye. Satterfield,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Colin,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph.
Yes.
Okay, number E deals with the Hyde.
That's in my district. I make a motion that we approve the rezoning request for Mr. Hyde's business.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Satterfield, second by Commissioner Shaver.
I was the loudest, there was several. Take who you want.
Commissioner Shaver. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Clear.
Tim.
now, you want a break or do you want to
You want
keep
a break?
going?
Just a quick one.
Quick break. Everybody talk among yourselves.
Okay,
We'll be right back.
5 minutes.
not bad.
Okay.
Somebody go check on Saturday.
Here he comes.
Here he comes. Okay. All right. All right.
Had to have some refreshment.
We got Coach. All right.
Yeah, here we are.
Next up on the agenda is Van Shaver, consideration of legal action on the annexation.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I had asked him to move our portion up because we have quite a bit more stuff to do, and I'm figuring y'all may not want to stay for that part. It's, it's been discussed. We've had this now at 2 meetings. I've been to other meetings. Everybody here is aware of what the circumstances are. So right off the bat, I'm going to make a motion that we direct our attorney, Kyle Baisley, to take any and all legal actions necessary to invalidate any legal annexations by Lenoir City.
Amen.
Second.
Amen.
Okay, we got a second.
Now that said, technically and how we're supposed to work, we make a motion and a second, then we have discussion. What I'm going to do now, I don't know where he went, somewhere Kyle Baisley's here. I'm going to ask him to come to the podium, address whatever he feels to address. If commissioners have questions of Mr. Baisley, this will be the time, this is our discussion time. While he's coming, I'm going to ask everybody that's here pertaining to the illegal annexation who are opposed to it, stand up. We don't know who all's there, most already standing up. This is a big deal, guys. Up in our district, I think there's people here from 5th, 6th, 2nd district, many districts. First district, we have first district people. So this is wide ranging. I want everybody to understand, this doesn't just affect me and Joe out in the 5th district, this affects everybody. Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's all yours, Brother Basin.
All right, good evening, commissioners. I need to tell you, after the spirited public comment, I don't know if I can follow that, those speeches, with the emotion behind it, makes me want to sell my farm in Hardin Valley and move to Loudon County. So where we left off, last meeting, commission was to vote tonight on whether or not to proceed with litigation. You know, I sent a demand letter to Walter Johnson, city attorney for Lenoir City, demanded that they take some sort of formal action to invalidate what I believe were improper and illegal annexations. And I use the term illegal, they didn't comply with Tennessee statute. We're not talking about a crime here, so, but they were not done according to Tennessee Code Annotated. The city had a meeting on that. I think Walter Johnson's exact comments were, let's fight him to the dirt. So I think that's a pretty clear declining our demand and essentially putting the ball in your all's court as to whether or not you want to proceed with litigation. That's the only, the 2 steps, I believe, Rio laid them out clearly. I believe Tim did as well. You know, do nothing, and it will remain as is, albeit still illegal, not properly done, or pursue court intervention to have it declared that they weren't done the right way. So I thought it might, you know, you guys were aware of my analysis of how it was done, the improper nature that it was, the 2 annexations at issue, Bell West Point, W&W, the procedures that Lenoir City failed to follow in approving those annexations. But I thought I would address some of the issues that have been raised since our last meeting by Lenoir City, as I know that those are probably of interest to each of the commissioners. One of the primary defenses or positions that Lenoir City has raised is that this commission, Loudon County, lacks standing. It's been said numerous times, you know, that Loudon County doesn't have standing. Well, maybe the property owners do that adjoin, but Loudon County has no standing. And I believe that there's a couple of factors that go into that analysis and conclusion by the Lenoir City attorneys. There is a process
by which an annexation can be challenged. If a annexation follows the proper procedures that are prescribed by Tennessee Code Annotated, there is a process within that statutory framework for property owners within the area to be annexed and adjoining that property to challenge the annexation at issue. Now, that sort of challenge is called a quo warranto challenge. And the purpose of that challenge is not to challenge the validity or invalidity of the annexation, is to actually challenge the reasonableness and the necessity of the annexation for the welfare of the property being annexed in that area in general. When you have a statute that provides a specific remedy or a challenge by a third party, you have to stay within that statute. So I believe that some of those conclusions are being, that have arisen because that statute limits someone challenging a quo warranto. That's not what we're doing here. We're not saying, is it necessary or reasonable for the welfare of Bell West Point or W&W? What we're saying is we're gonna pursue declaratory relief under a totally different statutory framework called the Tennessee Declaratory Judgments Act. That doesn't have a quo warranto limitation. That doesn't limit any sort of party challenging to be a property owner within or an adjoining property owner. Any party that is adversely impacted by any act of a municipality can be sued under the Declaratory Judgments Act. Another position that's been suggested is that Loudon County won't sustain any damage. They have no standing because there's no damage to Loudon County. And I believe that's patently false. If the annexation wasn't done properly, those properties, Bell West Point and W&W, remain subject to Loudon County zoning regulations, not Lenoir City. So if those developers are taking steps that are in violation of Loudon County's zoning ordinance, then that's a problem. That's damage to Loudon County. So Loudon County absolutely will have damage if this continues on because it wasn't properly annexed to be part of Lenoir City and therefore fall within Lenoir City's zoning ordinance to allow R3 high-density development. Loudon County will be damaged. It's going to be developed, in this gray area where Loudon County should have authority, but they don't really. So that's damage. We've heard about, before I move on from that, another component of our claim is a straight-up breach of contract claim. They violated an interlocal agreement, which clearly requires Loudon County to approve any annexation that is outside the urban growth boundary. These properties, undeniably, there's no question, both those properties fall outside the urban growth boundary. That's clear cut. The interlocal agreement made it crystal clear that those properties, any properties situated outside the urban growth boundary, could not be annexed without Loudon County first approving. I'm not aware of any approval coming from Loudon County, and we'll get into the LCUB litigation from 2007 here in a minute. So you've got two different frameworks that we would be attacking this under declaratory relief, under the Declaratory Judgments Act, and then a breach of contract. We're not talking about a quo warranto challenge under the annexation statute, so I just want to clear that up. Another issue that's been raised is latches. I know that word's come up, that's the word we don't use day in and day out. As a lawyer, I rarely use it, and the courts rarely use it. It's a defense that is rarely asserted, and it's rarely enforced. And in order to prevail on a latches defense, you've got to be able to show, Lenoir City would have to show that they have been prejudiced because of an unreasonable delay by Loudon County to take action. All right, they try to say, well, the developer has $11 million in this property. We're not suing the developer. We'd be suing Lenoir City. So I'm not sure that Lenoir City could show that they have been somehow prejudiced by some sort of delay. I would argue that the delay is not unreasonable. It was annexed in 2020, here we are in 2023, at the beginning of 2023. We're
two years and several months past the purported annexation. Furthermore, if you look at the developer, all right, we've heard now 2 different times, I received an email from Ms. Romanescu, who represents the developer, stating that, you know, the developer only plans on building 250 something homes. Yeah, we heard again from Walter Johnson this past Sunday, you know, 250 homes. Well, if there's only gonna be 250 homes and we've got roughly 130 acres, they can still build 250 homes if they go through the proper processes through Loudon County zoning, deal with Mr. Jenkins on that. They can still do their 250 homes. Now, it might look a little different the way they're spread out, but they can still do 250 homes. So I'm not sure that their $11 million, to the extent that has been spent, would be a complete waste. That infrastructure can still serve a legitimate purpose and could service those same 250 homes. Furthermore, let me see, I lost my train of thought here. The other issue that's been raised is that the interlocal agreement is unenforceable. I'm not sure what grounds have been stated for that. It's been pretty just summarily stated that it's no longer enforceable. The statute that created the Comprehensive Growth Plan, Tennessee Code Annotated 6-58-104, within that statutory framework, explicitly states a municipality may make binding agreements with other municipalities and with counties to refrain from exercising any power or privilege granted to the municipality by this title to any degree contained in the agreement, including but not limited to the authority to annex. That's an enforceable agreement. The statute says it's enforceable. I don't know where they're, you know, taking the position that it's not enforceable. The statute says very clearly that is an enforceable agreement, and it was pursuant to a court order, as Mr. Purcell stated. You know, there was another assertion by Mr. Johnson, I believe, maybe by another attorney at the city council meeting, that, you know, if this were to be dismissed, that Loudon County would not only have to pay its own attorney's fees, but would also have to pay the attorney's fees of Lenoir City. That is also false. They need to learn how to read a statute. TCA 20-12-119C is the statute that basically created the loser pays framework. Basically says if you bring a frivolous claim, it gets shot down on a motion to dismiss. Yes, a court can order the losing party to pay the attorney's fees that they've incurred. I usually like that rule. It's usually a pretty good rule. I think it's a great rule regardless. Unfortunately for Lenoir City, even if we're completely wrong and it gets dismissed, 20-12-119C5 expressly excludes any sort of governmental entity from that sort of framework. So Loudon County as a governmental body, or any of you all taking action in your official capacity as a commissioner, they can't get their attorney's fees from you guys, right? That needs to be cleared up right out the gate. So yes, could we lose? Absolutely. We have no idea what a judge is going to say. Do I think we will? No. I think we've got a great case. I think we have got a righteous case. I think we're looking at the law, saying this is how it should be used. This is how annexation should take place. You didn't do it right, and that it's invalid, right? They've got these technicalities. You know, you waited too long. That's a question of fact and law. Let the court determine that. I don't believe we have waited too long. I don't believe it's an unreasonable delay, and furthermore, I don't think anyone has been prejudiced by that delay. Not Lenoir City and not the developer. If they're building 250 homes, they may still be able to do just that. So I'm not sure what questions. I'm sure you all have some questions, comments. I'm happy to field those. So fire away.
If they continue to want to act as the court, say we win, and the judge says the annexation was not legally done, the developer that's already started out there, would he, and of course, again, it may be another judge question, if they wanted to, like you said, build the 250 homes, would it be under
current Loudon County regulations, or would it be
I believe it would fall under current Loudon County
Current.
regulations. I believe that's two houses per acre.
per acre? Yeah.
And so they've got enough acreage to still, I mean, like I said, it'll be spread out more than what I see on their current,
I just
approved
wondered,
plat.
they might argue, well, the regulations, when they did that was, I don't know, when did they start the development? When did they start moving dirt out there?
I'm not
Does
sure.
anybody know?
Approved in 2020 is all I know.
I mean, if they went by the 2020, it would just go back to 2.5.
2.5, okay.
Wouldn't be 3,000.
And under either framework, it wouldn't go to waste is the point. That's one of the factors that we of course look at and determine whether or not a claim is barred by the doctrine of latches, is where there'll be waste. Will there be some amount expended by the other party that will, be wasteful? And I would argue, it would be.
So under the TCA code 651-103, I believe is the one you might have been talking about a minute ago.
There's a bunch of them.
It was the one with the aggrieved owners under property that borders or lies within territory annexed have 30 days to challenge.
That's the quo warranto challenge that we're not even arguing that.
So
That's irrelevant.
irrelevant.
That presumes that the municipality actually followed the checklist of things that they needed to do in order to properly approve or put the annexation before the public to actually, comment on. In this case, they didn't follow the proper procedures because these properties clearly fell outside the UGB. Loudon County had not approved it pursuant to the local agreement, and the property owners did not own contiguous property already annexed by the city at the time that the applications were submitted. And there were some technical defects as well on the applications. Neither one of them were notarized, which is also another requirement of the annexation laws. And one of them, according to the Ross family, one member of the Ross family was even submitted, they had a letter signed by the Ross family that was submitted without their knowledge. So.
Back in 2015, when the TCA codes were updated, one of the times that it was updated, there was another code 651-104 that noted that property that is being primarily used for agricultural purposes may only be annexed by or below or a resolution with its owner's consent. The landowner will need to petition the city in writing for annexation of that portion of the land that is seeking to have annexed. The city's governing body then must pass a resolution for proposed annexation in accordance with the TCA 651-104. And the resolution must include a proposed plan of service, and the plan of services must meet the requirements set out in TCA 651-102. What was the property zoned as before?
I believe, Mr. Jenkins may know, I believe it was zoned agricultural before.
So with that, if it's an agricultural and the person comes and asks for it to be annexed within the city, this is saying that it could, is by my understanding.
You have to look also at chapter 58, it has to still be within the UGB for that to be applicable.
But how can they contradict one another?
They don't. You've got the UGB, you've got the comprehensive growth plan statutory framework that created the framework for the comprehensive growth plan that was agreed to by Loudon County and all the municipalities in 2000. That set the parameters of the urban growth boundary. That statute you're referring to, it falls within that framework. And so you've got that area where the city does have absolute authority to annex any properties that are already within that area. But in that case, if it's an agricultural property, the agricultural property owner has to actually consent to that, because there's a number of ways that they can do it. They can do it by referendum vote where they designate an area. And what that statute is saying is if there's an agricultural property within that area, even after that referendum vote, that particular property would not become part of the annexed property unless that property also consented
to theirs being included.
It said a referendum or resolution.
Yeah, or resolution, either one.
City did it by
By
resolution.
resolution, they did.
So,
Still has to be within the urban growth boundary in order for
but
that
it
to be
doesn't state
applicable.
that right there.
Yeah,
Why does it not state that there if that's that rule? To me, that contradicts.
because it says it in another chapter.
Yeah, but it says it in this chapter that could happen.
It does, but you've got the comprehensive growth plan that supersedes that in chapter 58, that you have to look at, that explicitly says, I mean, I'll read it if you want me to. A pile of paperwork here.
There can be no annexations by any city outside the urban growth boundary except under very limited conditions, none of which have been met here.
It's kind of a patchwork of statutes, and I understand it's confusing for a non-lawyer, it's confusing for a lawyer.
I was gonna say it's set up for a lawyer to make some money.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And you can't disagree with me.
Let me see if I can help guide you through it. Matter of fact, I'll look at the memo we've got, because that's even easier. So you got chapter 51, which is what you're referring to. Yeah, Title 6, chapter 51. So Title 6, chapter 58, 111A provides that a municipality possesses exclusive authority to annex territory located within its approved urban growth boundaries. Obviously, these properties weren't within the urban growth boundaries. They don't have that absolute authority, so they couldn't have annexed them under that framework. Tennessee Code Annotated 658 111C1 provides that prior to municipality annexing by ordinance territory outside its existing urban growth boundary and within a county's planned growth area or rural area, which apply to these two tracts, it must first amend the growth plan by having its desired change to the urban growth boundary submitted to the coordinating committee, and then receive a recommendation for the amendment from the coordinating committee. And then the coordinating committee must submit the proposed amendment with its recommendation to all the legislative bodies for approval as outlined in 658-104 and the criteria for establishing an urban growth boundary as delineated in 658-106. So that process wasn't followed either. There was no coordinating committee, there was no involvement with Loudon County. That Loudon County would have been involved in that process. That didn't happen. Then you got 658-111C2, which provides as an alternative that a municipality may annex property within a county's planned growth area or rural area by referendum only and not by ordinance, and the municipality must follow the referendum process as provided for in 6-51-104 and 6-51-105. So that's where Chapter 58 incorporates Chapter 51 into the framework. So the one you just read is specifically incorporated into that and says if it's outside the urban growth boundary, first they have to expand the boundary by the coordinating committee, and then they have to do it by referendum. There is yet another exception, Tennessee Code Annotated 6-58-118, which provides that a municipality may expand its urban growth boundaries to annex a tract of land without reconvening the coordinating committee or approval from the county or any other municipality if the tract is contiguous to a tract of land that has the same owner and has already been annexed by the municipality. 2, the tract is being provided water and sewer services, and the owner of the tract, by notarized petition, consents to being included within the urban growth boundaries of the municipality. So there's 2 problems with that. They keep saying we're focused on the first of those 3. Well, unfortunately, they're elements. There's an and, it's not an or. All 3 of those are required. So we can focus on any of the 3 of them we want.
After the first one, and is listed.
Yeah, the tract is contiguous to a tract of land that has the same owner and has already been annexed by the municipality. 2, the tract is being provided water and sewer services,
And 3, the owner of the tract by notarized petition consents to being included within the urban growth boundaries of the municipality.
After the first one though, is there an and after, or is it a semicolon?
They don't have to say and, it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3.
To me, it looks separated, that's the way I looked at it.
I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you about statutory
I don't
instructions.
expect you to, I'm just saying, it don't say and after.
If you went to law school, they would teach you that and after 2, between 2 and 3 works for all 3. It makes them required elements. All 3 of them are required. So not only do they lose on the first of the 3 elements, they also lose on 3. There was no notarized petition for either of these tracts, completely missing a notary. Now, is that a technicality? Maybe, but it's a technicality that the Tennessee legislature thought was worthwhile. There is no notarized petition, especially when you've got a member of the Ross family claiming that the petition for the Bell West Point tract was submitted without their consent and without their knowledge. That it was a piece of paper that was included in the title work that was then submitted after one of the signatories had already died.
But by the paperwork from that lawsuit, it says it could be by either the Ross family, by the Ross family heirs, or whoever it is, may be sold to, that could have.
I'm saying there's no notary. They never signed a petition.
But you
There's a
keep
petition
bringing up the
submitted.
Ross family's name about having this work, or never approving it to be done. Like I say, it says either the Ross family.
Are you talking about the LCUB litigation?
Yeah.
That related to the dedication of the road from
Which-
321 that cut through.
Which put it into the Lenore City, that's a city road.
If it was accepted by Lenore City,
It was accepted by
then
Lenore
it's
City.
owned by Lenore City, not by Bell West Point. It's contiguous, yes. Is it owned by Bell West Point? No.
And that,
It's owned by Lenore City.
but that's what's being said is that that area was not contiguous to a piece of.
No, it was contiguous. It just wasn't owned by the same owner. So either it was the
part that come up into their section, because it also said that if they wish to have it annexed, that they could.
It never
into
said, it
Lenore
never
City.
said that. I don't know where that language is coming from. There was a letter from Russ, what was Russ's last name? Newman, that said if it was dedicated, it would be accepted by the city. That he would recommend it if it was built to the city.
That was the reason why whenever it was all done, when they put the water tower on there, it was a 1,000,000-gallon tank that they added in gas, they added the water lines, and they added sewer. That was the reason all that was added out there, so it could be annexed into the city.
Whether it was added for that or not, it doesn't matter.
And it was
The
signed
TCA or-
off
it
on by
wasn't signed.
Russ Noman.
It was the dedication and acceptance of the road, right, which ends at the property line.
Which
of Bell West
also
Point.
went to circuit court. It did go to court.
It did, and there was an agreement for dedication of the road and acceptance of the road, which runs through the Bowater Hiawassee Land Company property up to the Bell West Point property,
Which the Harris family paid for to have done.
which the Ross family paid for that road,
That's
which
the
is
family
totally
I'm talking
irrelevant.
about.
But yes, the road, we're not arguing about the road. If it was accepted, dedicated, and accepted, so be it. If it was, it's owned by Lenore City, it's not owned by Bell West Point. And it was never owned by the Ross family, it was an easement through property owned by Bowater and Hiawassee. So they never owned that property. That's not contiguous property already within the city that was also owned by Bell West Point. If it was, I wouldn't even be here. It wasn't. I mean, any other questions?
Yes, one thing, been brought to my attention by some people is, the question of why Loudon County didn't act on the Bell West property, when it first happened, and Commissioner Shaver said just basically pure oversight, we missed it, okay, or previous commission missed it. I was gonna read out of the TCA, 651-104B-1A, upon adoption of an annexation resolution that includes finalized plans of service. A copy of the resolution is to be sent to the county mayor in whose county the property is being annexed is located. Mayor Bradshaw, did anything come across your desk on Bell West from Lenore City?
Not that I can recall, no.
So there's varying things that would cause how this could have slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, there's a number of defects, and the statutory framework is there to ensure that something doesn't just pass under the radar. I think it has to be noted that all this happened during the coronavirus madness, right? Everybody's disconnected, working remotely, in pure survival mode, right? I think a court is absolutely gonna take that into consideration when they argue latches. If I was in their position, I would argue latches. That's their strongest, that's their only argument.
But if that document hadn't been sent to our mayor as it should have been,
It's yet another, it's another way in which they didn't follow the statutory framework.
It's not incumbent upon Loudon County to see if what Lenore City's actions, I mean, they're the ones that annexed, they're the ones that developed them. It was up to them to, when they looked at the plat, looked at the map, looked at the UGB boundary line, that somebody in Lenore City should have recognized that and should have followed through with the steps that are prescribed by TCA. And that didn't happen.
I mean, I don't think anything's gonna get by you guys in the future. But I do believe, I mean, it's incumbent on Lenore City to follow TCA. There's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it, and they chose the quick and easy way that was not correct. And all we'd be asking the court to do is acknowledge that it wasn't done correctly, invalidate it, say try again.
So they're using the word latches, and basically you're saying it's, just a time frame, and that's been my concern from the whole time.
Latches is, so you've got statutes of limitation that are specific, and in that context, you know, if we're arguing breach of the interlocal agreement, the statute of limitations on a breach of contract claim is 6 years, right? There is no statute of limitations that I'm aware of or that I've been able to find that would apply to our asking a court to invalidate and confirm the invalid nature of these two annexations. Latches is where that comes in as an equitable defense. So that's always out there. Even in the context of statutes of limitation, latches can still be used even in those contexts. So latches is kind of this overarching common law defense. There's a lot of case law around it. It's I said it was rarely asserted. It's almost always asserted and rarely an issue that's actually dealt with at trial.
Esquire.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just looking back. I mean, we started talking about the Dan Smith annexation, and people got upset. But 3 years ago, I just don't recall anybody coming anywhere talking about the Bell West annexation. I mean, we never heard from.
With all due respect,
let me segue to that. I'm kind of the unofficial Lenore City government watchdog. I let that one get by me. I didn't know it, I didn't see it, didn't know what was going on, and I'm being facetious. It's not my job, as Commissioner Satterfield said, it's not our job to monitor what Lenore City does. It's their job to do what's legal and what's right. The fact that we caught them 2.5 years later is totally irrelevant. Without the W&W property coming in, had that one never landed, we would have never found the Bell West. Say it again. Absolutely. You can even see it. You can't see this development. So I didn't know what was going on. I try to watch the city council meetings. I try to check their minutes, but it's hard to keep up with Lenore City and Loudon County. And let me say this to everybody. I sat in this exact same seat in 2003. We had a similar situation, but different. We went to court. We went through this same conversation, almost verbatim. We went to court. Let's say we filed a lawsuit. We never went to court. If you have a lawsuit, if you have an issue, the other team is never going to hear what you say unless you file the lawsuit. But they don't care what you say. They can talk all day long. You can talk all day, threat, makes all you want. But until it gets into a jurisdiction above the locals, they don't care what you're saying. If we choose to file this lawsuit, if we choose to direct Kyle tonight to go forward, that does not necessarily mean we're going to court. It would be my fervent hope that this could be resolved long before we get to court. History says it's happened before. Could it happen again? I have no idea. But I'm prepared either way it goes. We take it as far as we can go, or we come to a conclusion with the city. They come back, as Kyle said a minute ago, you do it right. There is a right way prescribed in law to do this. They just chose to ignore it.
I think the Bell West Point property is especially relevant here because I think there's a understood connection between Bell West Point, W&W. Somehow that's being, I think the assumption is that's being incorporated into an overall development plan. We don't know what the W&W is being used for, what the anticipated use would be, but if Bell West Point is allowed to stand and we only prevail on W&W, the only thing they've got to do to get W&W at that point is acquire it and then reapply. So I think it's crucial that we go after both of them.
And we have not the authority, this body has not the authority to grant the city violate state law. We couldn't do it if we wanted to. Am I correct?
You are. The county and the city can agree on how to limit what's provided. So they can agree, like an interlocal agreement. The interlocal agreement, the statutes don't require that they get Loudon County's consent if they do it right. But the interlocal agreement says, even if you do it right, if it's outside the urban growth boundary, you still gotta get our consent first. So that still applies, it's still out there, they still have to comply.
Call for the vote?
No, not yet. Got another question for you, sort of along the same lines, but yesterday you was on the radio. How'd that go?
I got cut off by about 20 minutes of commercials.
We think there was a balloon flew over, we're not sure.
Next question. Where'd that come from? Who asked you to do that?
That was George, what was his, Cordis?
Corda.
George Corda.
This something that you're being paid for by the county for doing that?
No.
Okay.
Any further questions?
Got one for commission as well. Before the Dan Smith property was annexed by the city, was anybody aware of it being done?
I knew all about it.
How far before it was ever voted on did you know about it?
Probably the first time it had a plan of services sent in for it.
And how come nothing was ever brought up about it
What would I have brought up?
to the commission? So maybe it could have been.
Have they
prevented
violated
from happening.
anything before they actually annexed it?
Whenever it was passed by the planning commission and it was going to them.
I didn't know when the planning commission passed it. I didn't catch it till the city council meeting.
And I would say, we've been asking for Lenore City planning agendas for a long time, and they don't provide it.
Can't get
You
them.
know about it in October.
I'm still speaking here.
Which is
And
before.
the city of Loudon shares, and we share with both municipalities, and Lenore City will not share their planning commission agendas. So.
But they share their community room with it.
But they
They
do share
say
the
that they do.
Well, they don't.
Jim
Well-
Jenkins.
He's gone.
No, it's not.
He's
No, he's
picking
in the
up.
back.
Never mind.
Let's vote, Mr. Chairman.
No, my next question, you knew back in October,
Sure, absolutely.
which is well before they had voted. Why did you not share it with the county commission so maybe it could be
What would I have
discussed?
shared, William?
What they were looking to do.
But they hadn't done anything.
You could have shared it with these people so
They
they're not
hadn't
having to go through
violated
it.
anything.
But they had an opportunity to come speak. They could have went and spoke and told their side.
They could have, but what if the city didn't annex it, William? Why stir all that up? I don't pull
Give
the
them the
trigger until
opportunity
something's
so
gone
they don't have
right.
to go through this and we don't have to waste money.
Well, I guess you can call it a waste if you want to.
We're not the police, it's not our job to catch them doing something illegal.
Absolutely not, it's
It's
not
not
our
our
place.
job to be the police, but he already knew about it and he could have saved some of this heartache.
That's a lot of pressure on me.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay, any further comments? Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Morrison, to proceed with legal action on this annexation. Tammy, call the roll.
Jenkins,
And I'm not doing this because city tells me to, how I'm going to vote, as some people may have implied. I do this under my own conscience and I am going to vote and I'm voting no.
Quillen,
Duly noted.
no. Satterfield,
Yes.
Whitfield, Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Okay, count
That's it.
7-3.
7-3, guys. We're great.
I promise to do my best to make this commission and all these fine folks proud.
Okay. All righty.
Give him a minute
We'll
there.
give you a minute to, you can go home and watch America's Got Talent or The Bachelorette or whatever else.
You leaving, coming?
Who was the three no's? I know William.
We taking 5 internet? Yes. Take 5.
Another 5?
I got
Y'all know what? How are you? According to which side of the table? No, it's just open up.
Hey, don't
I hope this is in the message and we can make a couple of resolutions, but if not, really? Yes, ma'am.
You're there all the time.
It's gonna be big in the neighborhood. Yes,
What's going on? See what you got.
What happened, Steve? You didn't reporter? Now the way you work out, go out and visit them. Just keep passing it out, you get a degree.
Doorbell camera, something on the vehicle, start, we see what it is. 5 minutes apart.
Okay. All right, if I can get everybody back, we're gonna go.
You do the park somewhere over there. You do the insurance somebody was burning them down because they didn't I can, but better yet, my wife. I can make mine, she's a setup type person, she can tell you how. I think it's got to be a pretty smooth process nowadays through the GoDaddy and all that. I understand.
Coach.
Good deal.
There's some more back there.
I'm just aggravating with
Alright.
Thank you so much, sir. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're gonna get started again. Billy Pickle has an issue. Step up, we'll do yours now so we can get you home.
He got no issues.
Yeah, he does.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the street, the road list for 2023.
I make a motion, we approve inventory.
Make a motion to approve the logo. What's the logo first? All at once.
All at once. We got a motion by Commissioner Shaver.
Yeah.
Seconded by Commissioner Waller.
Right.
There you go.
To approve all three items, the road list, the inventory, and the logo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Do you want to say anything now? Okay.
What about the logo? Should we see it?
Yeah, it's up on last time.
It's Billy's face.
Oh, here you go, it's on the screen.
Okay.
Red ring on that side, blue ring on the inside.
Couldn't afford to get a color shot in here?
Anything you want to add to it?
I do appreciate you.
No, you don't have to do that.
All right.
Come to order.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Billy.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's passed. Have a good day, Billy. Mayor, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number A, under my, number 7 is the procurement director affirmation.
I'd like to affirm the procurement, new procurement, what is he called?
Procurement director.
Director, the procurement director, formerly known as purchasing director, so I'll make a motion, we affirm that young man. Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Bill. Commissioner James. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
See, we could just punch the button.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve the mayor's, board and committee recommendation.
Including the 911?
Yeah, including 911.
I will second that motion.
One quick thing that I
Uh-oh.
failed to mention is was a terrible tragedy. We've lost a member of the airport authority, so we have a vacancy on the airport authority.
I would like to serve on the airport authority, if I could.
I'll make a motion.
Add me to the airport authority. I've been here 21 years, I have never known the airport authority to meet, but it sounds good.
We're going to change things, so I'll second.
Who's the head of the TSA out there?
Okay, now you got me confused.
We've amended the board committee, vote on the amendment,
To include,
vote on the amendment to it.
okay,
Are you being serious?
Yes.
okay.
There's actually an airport in Loudon County?
Yeah, they bring,
We're gonna have a lot of little ones.
Where at?
We're gonna build a huge one. Hotchkiss Valley, Hines Valley, Loudon.
Delta drops a 747 in here every day. Okay,
Moving right
Move
along.
right on.
we got a motion and a second
For the amendment.
For the amendment, we're voting
for
on
the amendment
right
to
now.
add Van to the airport authority.
And a voice vote will be great.
And we'll take a voice vote. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Van, you'll be the first officer on a 747.
Absolutely. I'm gonna make a motion now that we approve the mayor's boards and committees as amended.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Whitfield,
Move on.
to approve the board appointments recommended by the mayor. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Come on, Mr. Procurement. Watch that boy hustle. Look at that. Looks like the old football days, doesn't it?
And we approved all these in.
Motion to approve A, B, and C.
Yeah, now.
Motion to approve A, B, and C.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Waller, seconded by Commissioner Shaver to approve A, B, and C, which have all been through the Budget Committee. There's money involved, so it'll have to be a roll call vote, call the roll.
Quillen.
Aye.
Satterfield.
Aye.
Whitfield.
Aye.
Cullen.
Aye.
Morrison.
Yes.
Shaver.
Yes.
Waller.
Aye.
Randolph.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Okay.
We can go home now.
Procurement,
Boy, didn't he do a good job? Somebody tell his mom at work tomorrow what a good job.
You got a new title and it didn't get to speak. What's up with that?
okay,
didn't want to.
okay,
Mine's next.
you're
Yes.
next.
We've already done B under mine, so it's A, purchase of iPad laptops for commissioners. And like I said, hopefully we can dispense with having to carry home
Oh, man.
reams and reams and reams of paper. Matt has some cost for iPads.
Oh, here we go.
And
He's
Jack-
top now.
I was talking to Tammy before, do you think we need one with more, how much memory,
I would get the bigger one because you have more such large files.
Are you just gonna be looking at the link on the county website, or has this got to be loaded on them all the
I'm
time?
gonna download PDFs onto the.
All I have
just-
to do is email it.
you just
Just
email it, you hit it, there's
got
everything you
this.
need for the.
Look here, hey
You can
Tammy,
actually take notes as we
I
go.
want my paper, I
I'll
don't even
get
want
your
to.
paper.
Van,
Yes,
I make notes, everything on mine, and it's just,
well, you're a high-tech kind of guy.
yeah.
He's gonna give a class once we get him.
Yeah, I'll give a class.
I'm requesting an iPad for each seat on the county commission, not the individuals, but each commissioner seat receives an
Whether
iPad.
they use it or not, right?
Whether they use it or not.
I guess here's my question, does it have to be an iPad, can it be a cheaper Samsung or Sony or something?
No.
Oh, come on.
Some of the Samsungs are more expensive, and some of the cheaper Android ones are not as reliable as iPad.
Fair enough.
So you recommend Apple or?
I would recommend.
He's procurement.
Okay, lay it on us, how much?
On the storage, man.
The 256 gigabyte iPads are $569 each.
$569.
Yes, and the 64 gigabyte iPads are $419 each.
So there's not much difference in more than double the.
Correct.
Well, Tammy did some research with Apple and said the bigger one is the one you need. But if it does away with this,
What model is that, Matt?
It's the brand new model that, I don't know what they call it now. They call it new version or something now.
It's not a Pro,
The current, no, it's not the Pro, it's just the regular.
10th generation.
I'd also like to include that the commission receive some type of mini in-service on this so that we're all able to fly.
Hey, you know what? Don't need many in service? A sheet of paper.
okay,
And these will be property of the Loudon County government, not
yes.
individual homes.
No.
They'll all have that, once they receive, they'll all receive a serial number that's directly related to Loudon County.
And if you leave county commission, you have to turn it back
You have to
in.
turn
Yeah, we
Teresa
have
Edwards
put
is
in
our
our
asset
asset
coordinator.
program and tag them, that way we can keep track of them.
Okay.
And that's been done with our historian stuff as well? Camera, we bought for the historian and stuff,
Yes.
that's been tagged and everything?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, we handle that purchase, so
Perfect.
So
we have it delivered to our office.
you're recommending the iPad 569?
256. 256.
256.
256,
256 gigabyte, $569.
$69. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Satterfield, seconded by Commissioner Whitfield.
And we step into the 21st century.
Not all of us.
No.
Okay,
A quick question, that includes me and Aaron, correct?
Yes.
No?
yes.
Nah, you buy your own. Y'all make a lot of money.
Well, give him yours, man.
You can use mine?
You'll be used it, you're just saying.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. It includes Aaron and Buddy. Any further discussion? There's money involved, call the roll, Tammy.
Satterfield.
Yes.
Whitfield. Cullen.
Yes.
Morrison.
Yes.
Shaver.
I was opposed to the telegraph, the telephone, the internet, the radio. I'm saying no.
Waller,
I'm gonna abstain because I got my laptop. I don't need one. So I'm just gonna say,
But you're voting to get Bill one.
I don't care what they can, if they need one, so be it.
So what's your vote?
I'm abstaining because it's
Abstaining.
irrelevant to me.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen. Aye.
Okay, what do we got? Looks like 8-2.
Yes.
Are y'all gonna get in your covered wagon and go home?
Dang right. Across the ferry at the bridge.
I didn't say I was opposed to technology. I just have a laptop here that works.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
70 grand. Uh-oh.
I have a question.
Uh-oh. You taught her well, Tracy. Way to we vote. Didn't know your finger.
Where's the money coming from?
We need to appropriate the funds,
General
capital projects.
or general fund?
Capital, or we still got?
Capital or ARPA.
Make a motion I make a motion we use capital projects to fund the iPads.
Well, it's gotta come to capital projects
I know.
first.
We don't have any money.
Well, let's take it out of general fund.
Okay.
There is money in other sub-funds besides the 023.
Okay.
that's
Okay.
capital projects.
I'll make a motion that you pick which one you want and use it.
I think we take it out of the mayor's budget.
Here we are trying to spend money and can't give it away, can we?
Okay. That passed.
Sorry, give it a rose.
Aaron, you're up. Welcome to the commission meeting.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Cullen. So A and B, the first two items on the agenda are related. There are two resolutions, one to terminate the swap and one to change the LIBOR index to a new index for one of our bonds.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna make a motion, we approve both of these together. It was explained to us in budget committee. I couldn't tell you what the man from the finance place said, but we can't do LIBOR anymore. We know it's illegal. So I'll make a motion, we approve the first two together.
They quit using that term, housekeeping, cleaning it up, changing the
We'll
name.
spend 34 to save 75.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll say.
Got a second by Commissioner Whitfield. Any further discussion? Money involved, call the roll.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller, Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen. Aye. Satterfield.
Aye. Okay,
Okay, number three is,
Number three.
consideration.
C.
Number
Sorry,
three.
C, on my paper it's number three, sorry, C.
Okay.
Consideration of recommendation to approve acceptance of $465,500 State Department of Health grant. There's a required match, which the county commission has already approved appropriating these funds, sorry, excuse me. This recommendation is to follow our grant process, and the budget committee recommends this resolution.
Make a
Chairman.
motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield to approve, seconded by Commissioner Shaver. Any further discussion? Money
I
involved,
put us to
Tammy,
the
call
top
the
of the
roll.
list for this, Mr. Chairman and Commission.
What's
We're
that?
at the top of the list, we're meeting Wednesday, and we're at the top of the list, as soon as we get it done, boom, they're starting.
Cause they had the major flood damage, which is kinda couple in all this,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Are they still shut down, I assume?
Yes, or any business for teleport usually has to go, we tried the wrong state, it didn't, logistics didn't work, but any like, death certificates and such have to go to Madisonville, or Blunt or not.
Yeah.
Drop in Madisonville right now.
Okay, any further discussion? Tammy, call the roll.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen. Aye. Satterfield.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, the next one is consideration of recommendation to approve a resolution, for expenses out of the ARPA funds to purchase the building for county record storage. Commission has already approved the purchase of the building, and we have already purchased the building. but this is to approve the resolution, which follows the process for expensing our ARPA funds. Budget Committee recommends this approval.
Make a motion, we approve, we buy the bank building downtown Loudon.
Second.
Who seconded it?
Rosemary.
Consider.
Okay, we
we've
got a
already
motion
done
by
it.
Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Quillen, to vote on the purchase of the bank building, which is already done. Any further discussion? Money involved, call the roll.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Okay.
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Adam was
Randolph,
distracting me.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen, Satterfield,
Aye.
Whitfield,
Aye.
Cullen.
Aye.
When we get the new iPads, will we have to dress like Chase at all the meetings after that?
It's a
Yes.
requirement.
Shirt, tie, the whole nine yards. That's why I'm not gonna use one.
Okay,
All right, the next one is a recommendation to approve a resolution to spend some of the ARPA funds on a shelving system for, the courts.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Wait a minute, you got a problem. Matt, will you come up, please?
What did y'all do now?
He's earning his money.
Withdraw your motion.
I withdraw mine.
I'll withdraw my second.
So late this afternoon, we received the quotes for this said project, and the quote was $110,000.
Huh?
That includes the new system and moving the system.
Moving the old ones.
However, just moving the system was quoted separately, roughly $39,000, just to move it. So that's no
Plus the
new stuff.
110,
Is it,
plus the 110 or 110 total?
That's
110
gets the
total.
new.
is it that complex to move? What I'm
They
getting
are.
at.
From what I see, yes.
Okay.
The good thing is we're moving them 2 doors. Lisa and Steve's files are right there in that corner building. And I guess there's 25 of those moving shelves. They're on the steel thing bolted to the
They're put on
concrete.
railroad tracks.
Yes,
on
yes.
Metal tracks.
And they have to be disassembled to get them out because they're taller.
I didn't know if that's something, people that were already paying could do.
Well, we thought that too, but it's, they're all under warranty. We gotta have them moved by the people that do it. I thought I'd go up there and take them apart. I couldn't even find a screw to come out of them,
It's
so.
kind of like that tag on your pillow. If you rip it off, warranty on your pillow is no good.
And the rails that currently can be reused because the way they're applied is by grout. They have to be torn up and they can be bent and not work properly, so
Gotta have new rails.
gotta have new rails. That's a small part of it, but
Or they get to come and go.
the most of the part of the 110,000 is the new shelving system that we got a quote on.
So
Moving it is about 39,000.
this was up to 175,000.
No, 65.
65. So that's my question. Can we approve up to 65,000 and then come back to budget committee and talk about?
Well, we could move them for,
We
not
move
going
for
for
30,
40, but then
for 40 grand.
So we're
Then
gonna
come back
start
to
the
budget
process of
committee.
moving them and then come back and approve more shelving?
Well, I mean, he may wanna reconsider something.
Well, the trick is to get the new shelves in, take all the records out of Lisa and Steve's shelves, move them to the new shelves, then disassemble the old shelves and move them down to the bank building. Otherwise, to disassemble, you got to move all the stuff, disassemble, take them down, put them back together, then reload the shelves. So if you've got to do the projects both ways, I don't know how we do without the shelves. You've been in there, you've seen that both of them's full.
Right.
Now Lisa's is 1870 to the present. She has far fewer, but I don't remember, was there 12 or 15 that Steve had right there? And that's just a short amount of, not short, but maybe like the 80s up to current or something
Well,
like
when we
that.
put Steve's in, it was in with the understanding that when we got things situated, they would be moved.
Yeah.
I don't see any way.
I don't see how we
around
dodge
it.
this one.
where are they going? Are they going in rooms, or I'm assuming?
In that very back corner room. And then Lisa's getting some more. I don't even know. You've seen the labels on the doors.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who was where.
And they won't fit through any doors unless you've got really, really tall doors, so they have to be disassembled to be taken out of a door.
My family pack now.
So what's the total possible amount?
110.
110,000.
So what is just the new shelving?
Roughly 70,000.
And we wanna approve just the 70 so we can get those put in, so we can start moving records and then come
Why
back
not
to
just
the.
do it all?
Will the insurance not pay for the movement since it was?
I asked that question today.
They were purchased out, they were not a requirement
for us to continue functioning.
We could have put it on wooden shelves for that matter.
Okay.
We knew though, in fact, the intent was these would be wind up going in the old courthouse when it got rebuilt, was the original intention.
So, we're not, that was the original intention, but that's not gonna happen.
No, well, they'll have to now. We've got the store. I'm gonna go ahead, we've got a long time in this one. I'm gonna say we approve the up to the 110 to do the whole shelf thing and get it all done at once.
I'll second that. Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Satterfield.
What
To
are we
approve
taking,
it up to $110,000.
Putting in new ones and moving
what
out
are we
ones.
taking the
Where you
extra
taking the money
45
from?
out of though?
ARPA.
That works.
Okay.
Wait a minute, we have a moratorium on ARPA.
I started to say.
We'll wait till after the 30 days is up to spend the money. How about that?
When are they coming, when can they get to it, Matt?
They can move the shelves, they estimated within 30 to 45 days.
Oh, we're way past the 30-day moratorium on that.
And the new ones would be, sounds like several months to come in.
So it'll be several months before we do anything.
It'll be 30 days to move the current shelves.
But we gotta wait on the new
We
ones.
gotta wait
to
on the
move.
new
Yeah, we
ones.
gotta get out of
Those
that building,
ones.
quit paying for it.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. That blew my whole theory of having it all set up once, so that don't fly.
Who moved it last time? Did the company move it?
Company put them in.
Did
Those
they-
are new, those are brand new. We bought them after the fire.
Well,
I make a motion, we pay to have the current files moved and come back later and approve the necessary funds to add the new ones.
We already have a motion by me and a second by you.
You already got a motion on the floor.
But
Getting late.
the timeframe kind of.
We need to undo our first one though.
Yeah, okay, withdrawal,
I'll withdraw.
withdrawal.
Okay, what's the new
Now,
motion?
make a motion to expend the money to move the current shelves into the newly bought bank building with that. And then we can approve the, money to buy the new ones, or?
But that means we come back in another month, and
That's
we've
six
got
of
another
them, does
month.
the other. If we're gonna do it, we might as well do it now, because who will move them, Matt? Do they, will the company move them, and we have to have that labor? or-
No, company does not.
There's some light stuff we have to do, but not anything serious.
I second Bill's motion.
So we got a motion and a second
Uh,
to approve the
Hold it,
65.
she stole the Tracy hand up on us.
does that mean, how, are we gonna approve to appropriate the entire thing or only a certain portion?
That's
Do
still
we
being
have-
discussed.
Well, I thought it was just
Well, there's a
39 to
motion and
move.
a second.
I know.
We have we have a 30-day moratorium on spending any more ARPA funds. Is this money, have we already taken this amount out of our,
The 65 out of our.
have we already highlighted it to be used?
Nothing has been spent. The recommendation for the $65,000 came to the budget committee
Yeah.
as a recommendation from capital projects at your last meeting.
Is that from
So-
capital projects?
The recommendation came from capital projects.
spend ARPA money.
Gary brought it in, I think, didn't he?
And
Is
so the
this
budget committee
No, not Gary,
recommended the $65,000.
Rosemary brought
Has
it in.
not been spent.
Is this is this capital projects money?
No,
ARPA.
ARPA money,
went
so-
through capital projects and got approved.
So I could have saved us 30 minutes if you go with my original, that we spend up to $65,000 and then.
Well, I'm gonna let Buddy take over and make the argument.
Do we need to have the money set aside and out of order?
It would be nice to go ahead and appropriate the entire amount.
And we can go ahead and place them on order and everything.
But you can't have any ARPA money because there's a moratorium on it right now.
Well, when the bill comes due, that
It'll be 30 days.
When was it take effect? It took effect what?
We won't pay the bill for a month. How about that?
Oh, fine, okay.
I got a question, this more,
So, are you pulling that motion?
I'm like Abbott and Costello. I don't know who's on first, let alone on third.
So, let's say.
I know that this needs to be done. I don't think there's a way around of moving the old ones and buying the new ones. The only thing is paying for it. I just became concerned that we have been like a kid in a candy shop. Anytime something come up, ARPA, and I'd like to know exactly how many ARPA dollars that we have that have not been
In the
attached.
original, The original
Out of the
five,
first $5 million,
$15.
$2 negative
37 cents. Look here, before we do, can we dispense of this one? Cause I think they're gonna hit all that here in a minute.
well, I'd like just
All right.
voting on this.
$584,000.
584,000. So if we spend 110,000 here, that's a 400.
After the 65.
After the 65, there's 584, so you put another 45 with that, we're
So
at 500.
539,000 is left out of the full 10 million.
Well, I'm gonna be using Pat Hunter's words here. I'm gonna be as transparent as I know how. I am trying very hard to get those folks in Greenback a sewer system. And I can tell you right now that out of that 500 and something thousand, we're gonna need a little bit of that so that we can do that project. That was my main reason, is not to spend it all, cause I don't wanna ask the county to take money out of general or anywhere else when we've got the federal dollars saying there.
We'll still have 530,000 out of the original.
Now, I'm thinking I'm thinking either 200 or 250 is what we'll need to, that we can finish off, we can do that project in Greenback. So,
I'm gonna use Tracy's words. The quicker it's gone, the better we all are.
Oh,
Am I right? Come on, say it out loud now.
I need a beating around the bush.
okay. Which way are we going on this motion? The full 110 or the
If you
65?
promise not to spend any more money, I'll make a motion to suspend the moratorium on the ARPA money.
Oh.
Did we ever do a county commission approved moratorium on it?
No.
We did the
Budget
budget
committee.
committee did.
Well, the budget committee ain't voting on this, we are,
Well, that's fine.
with all due respect.
Okay,
Let's go.
So what motion do we have on the table?
Let's erase them all and start over. All motions retracted. Now, what's the motion?
I make a motion to do the whole 9 yards, the 110.
110. Okay, we got a motion to do
Second.
the
Out of
110.
ARPA funds.
Second by Commissioner Shaver. Okay. All right, any further discussion? Roll call vote,
The
Tammy.
next person that says ARPA though, when that comes up,
Well, put your finger in the ears for the next one then.
Yes.
Aye.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen, Satterfield,
what if I voted against my own motion?
It's happened many times.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Okay.
Now, before we start on this, remember, this was approved back in June, July, August, whenever I think June was the first time this one was brought up. Oh, and I jumped one, I'm sorry.
You jumped on.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve Henry Cullen's request for the 175 for the fire department.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Whitfield to approve the funds out of my 500 to the Tellico Village Fire Department. Any further discussion? Tammy, call the roll.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen, Satterfield,
Aye.
Whitfield,
Yeah, all right.
Cohen,
Aye.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver.
Aye. Now, this one was discussed and voted on a long time ago. This is our new election commission building. And I'll make a motion we approve this one.
Are those already taken out of the ARPA?
Yes.
Okay.
That's already taken.
Yes.
Yeah.
'Cause I thought we
That's
were
gonna
going
go.
into the rate.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver to approve the election edition.
Who seconded it?
Randolph, guy with tile.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Randolph to approve G. Any further discussion?
Wait a minute, we're approving 447,000, that's for the whole, everything?
No, that's the low bid was 650.
But you had two
We
already.
had two that already moved over.
All right,
Wait,
okay.
what's the cost of the building?
650 was the low bid, plus you've got your architectural fees that have already been paid.
Well, this is not gonna be enough to build the building, is it?
We had 200 left already.
Yeah.
Okay.
We started out with 200,000, yeah.
I tell you what, when you start dipping out of different pots, it gets confusing.
As Tracy Blair would say, the sooner it's gone, the better we'll all be.
Of all quotes. We can't
Okay, any further discussion?
save a little.
Tammy, call the roll.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen, Satterfield, Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller.
Aye.
I'll make a motion, we approve the, policy, the increase in the policy handbook for travel expense reimbursement. I think we discussed, we're gonna get back up to where the state stuff, it's all kind of the same thing, so.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Randolph.
James.
Oh, James, sorry.
They're interchangeable.
Yeah.
They look like.
No, one's deputy chief.
Oh, God.
Okay, any further discussion?
Explain it to me.
Our current, expense reimbursement is $46 a day.
Okay.
If you've eaten anywhere at all, you can eat at McDonald's 3 times for $46 a day.
According to how much you eat.
I bet I could.
According to how much you eat.
And so this would match what the state has at 59.
So it's just related to meals?
Yes. Okay. 3 meals a day. And that's for the travel that we have that doesn't participate in, most of our conferences will service a lunch or something. But some, if you travel beforehand or afterhand, then.
There's not any mileage in this, this is just.
The mileage rate,
We did that last year, I think,
Mileage
didn't
rate.
we? We just raised the mileage rate up last year.
This one is just meals on.
Meals on Wheels.
Okay. Any further discussion? Tammy, call a roll on it.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen, Satterfield,
Aye.
Whitfield, Cullen,
Aye.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Aye.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph.
Yes.
Okay.
The next one is to approve the statutory bond for the new procurement director.
I will make the motion, we do it if we stop calling it procurement. Golly, it's been purchasing department for 200 years, and all of a sudden it's procurement. He likes that. You like it better, right?
I do.
We're purchasing now,
He's
so
a
I'll
proc-
make the motion, we approve his bond.
Instead of a buyer, he's a procurator.
He's a procurator. Procure something.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver. Do we have a second? Commissioner Quillen. Call a roll, Tammy.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen,
Yes.
Satterfield,
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller.
Aye.
Now, before we even start down this road, I have received information tonight that I didn't know. I had already planned to have one objection in 101. I understand now from another commissioner that I may have voted for something in budget I didn't even know I voted for. But right now, in budget, and somebody will have to correct me because I don't know this till Gary told me earlier. There was a discussion about a pay increase for an employee in one of our departments, in one of our elected officials' department upstairs. It was pay increase middle of the budget cycle. I've been opposed to that for all of my life. I'm a believer, you set a budget in July, we stick to the budget till we get to the next July. So I got no issues with the person, we heard about all the things, but I just say you don't change salaries in the middle of a budget cycle. Those of us on the budget committee also will know that once we do that, it's never ending. Everybody wants one. But I'll let Mr. Whitfield or Miss Rice or somebody tell me that we had discussions about other pay increases in the budget committee that I supposedly voted for, because I didn't vote for anybody's. Huh?
You made the motion.
On what?
And I seconded the 101 you did, Gary.
Did you know you did it? No.
Well,
I didn't know we did it.
but if Miss Blair had it down, we did it.
Well, I understand that, but I think this is one of those things where we kind of thumb through and said, well, 101 and it's this and this is moved to here and it's just money moved inside the
I can only
budget.
think of one person that came to budget meeting asking for a,
That's correct.
And we
pay
also,
increase.
that same night, we also discussed some adjustments for the purchasing department.
No, we did not.
Yes, we did.
You were
We
going
did. We
to.
talked about it when Mike was there.
You were going to, but it never came up. Did anybody else hear it? Well, let's cut through all this and not do this. I'm gonna be a no on 101, not everything on 101. I don't even know how to break this down, to be honest, but I'm gonna be a no on any salary increases at this time. I don't know anything except the one that came to us. If that wants to all come back to budget this, in a couple of weeks or whenever we have our budget meeting, I'll hear the considerations, but I take back my vote in budget committee, because I would have never voted for
Well,
it.
the one we approved was because he had the money, he wasn't asking for any.
They're all that way,
He had
all of them.
money.
All that way. No, mine is not. Mine was some new money because we had a buyout of vacation time when Susan Husky retired.
Well, none of this has been
And I remember
discussed.
the conversation about Miss Husky.
It was discussed, during the discussion about Mike's adjustment. It was discussed.
Well, I'll plead ignorance on it. I didn't hear a word.
Throw that out there. That
I
it was
voted no
discussed.
on the one. I believe me and Gary were the two no votes. It was a split vote in budget committee, just because I don't think we change in the middle of the budget cycle. I don't know what you do with all these other ones. I'm voting no on anywhere there is a salary change in 101 this time.
So he's gonna be the director, but we're not gonna pay him director's pay.
I don't know what you're gonna do till you come back to budget and talk to us about it.
So the whole time he's gonna.
We did approve his, didn't we?
Well, his was part of that, yes.
I don't remember hearing any conversation about him.
And
In
then
the
there were
budget committee.
and a couple of the people that have expanded their roles under him.
I don't
The big
care.
one was the payout.
I'm not saying there's
You're gonna have to
anything
double
wrong.
up on your
I don't even
privilege.
know the money, the numbers we're talking about. And as far as the previous one, Buddy said he needs new money. The previous one, and I think some of the
And the
others,
big one is the buyout. That's what caused the new money. And
Well,
I remember that conversation.
but again, what we do, right now, the department heads, at least one of them had money in their budget to cover it, but it'll be new money come July 1st. So it will require more money.
What, is there anything else in 101 besides that?
Yes, there is plenty.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me get back to my notes, sorry.
Okay.
There's the workers'
I'm
comp
sorry, but
adjustment.
I didn't know this. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You good? Okay, there's the workers' comp adjustments, which is an overall reduction of about $400. There's, some adjustments to some revenues just to match expenses because they're grants. There's a reduction in one grant in revenue. There's a reduction in some revenue for sale of materials that was actually received in the previous year. There's an adjustment for the lifesaver to adjust the revenue and the expense. There's, an additional revenue and expense for the Marshall Roundup. And then there's line adjustments in multiple departments. And then we get into some wage adjustments. In the sheriff and jail, there was some adjustments to move wages from the regular wage budgets into overtime because they have multiple open positions, is what the sheriff said.
Remember that one?
There was adjustments in purchasing to move certain people to different rates, which,
We bring Matt up 57. It would be a top out, 30 cents an hour or 20 cents an hour.
I
With the
remember
exception
talking
of,
about Matt.
I do know.
Teresa Everett. Well, I'd bring up a dollar because she's been here, how long, Matt?
This year will be her 10th year.
10th year. She makes a pennies more than what a new hire makes. And that would get her to right at 40,000 a year. And all of their responsibilities have expanded with the retirement of previous procurement director. Is the only reason I'm entertaining during the middle of the
I remember
season,
talking
middle of the
about
cycle.
Matt.
and there's also a wage adjustment in, senior center because someone had to fill in for the director for a couple of days.
There was a major health
We told Mike
event.
hired it.
What's total?
She's a director, we ever had a retiree who took
Did we increase?
our seniors took a Memphis trip. Our senior center director, mother passed while in Memphis. She was on the trip as well. Luckily, one of our retirees brought our seniors back while our director was able to take the business from Fiscal. That's it.
What's total cost and difference in money expenditures?
The money was about the payout.
For which part?
8,000 was the payout. Was the payout. Am I correct?
I guess,
For the leave,
Yes.
pay for.
Paid leave
assessment.
and vacation.
I remember this, I remember.
for the salaries, how much
For
more?
which salaries?
All the
For
salaries.
Mike Campbell,
talked about.
Mike handled his.
There's no budget, there's no amendment for it.
Because he had an
Yeah, he had the
open
money.
position.
It's within their his budget, but we have to approve it since it's salary.
But next July, though, it'll be.
But it'll be in,
more
we'll
money.
have to have more money in the next budget cycle. That's not, I don't mean this to sound bad toward anybody, but that's a common thing department heads have done in the past, is if they have some spare money in their salaries, somebody retires or quits, or they hire somebody at a lower rate, then they can take that little bit of extra money and give it to other people. And it all sounds good, but when it comes to July, or a budget cycle, we've got to come up with new money to to do the new year. And again, I really didn't mean to get this into a big giant debate. I just do not believe we ever change mid-budget. We know what was coming with Mr. Klein-Smith since a year ago. We've all known this was coming. So y'all do whatever anybody wants to. I'm not asking, I just can't vote for however it happens.
Could we hold off and then just back pay them out of the new budget for this time lapse here?
Can't do it out of new. I've lost 4 quality people since the new office changes.
Are you gonna leave, Matt?
Depends.
Well, Mike was a little different because he had 2 vacancies. He was trying to find somebody to hire that he didn't. The person that he asked for a raise for was doing a lot more, I think, than she thought when she signed on, or he, I don't know if it's he or she, and Mike said he had the money in his budget, wasn't asking us to chip any money in at that time, but I know what Van's saying, you know, it'll be there come budget request time again, but I find it hard when elected officials say, I've got 2 vacancies and I can't find anybody, and the one person we've got is having to do 2 or 3 people's work and sitting there saying, sorry, you have to wait till the next budget cycle. I don't know.
I'm trying to hold on to the people.
I don't
We
know.
lost 2 out of finance, 2 out of
And I value what Van says, cause it's true. I didn't believe him at first years ago, but you know.
You've seen it firsthand now.
And still questioning some. It is, when you do one, you might as well get ready, there'll be others coming, but at the same time, we shouldn't hinder the operation of county government because we can't hire people, or they won't stay, or we can get, I don't know what the answer is.
So one of the discussions is, we're not paying him what Susan was making.
No.
Even though he's taking the job,
It'll be his
whether
salary.
budget cycle or not.
His salary will be a little bit lower than what she was after she left.
I mean, you get
I've also got a
promoted.
step increase.
I'm just listening to Mike say.
Will that get him to where she was?
And this person is working in place.
But she's also been here for a long number of years too, no disrespect.
And most, with the exception of finance, most of my directors are pretty close. They're within a few $1,000s of each other, depending on terms of service. Now, Matt's only been director for a couple of months, but he's been employee of the county since
Full-time 6.5 years.
part-time,
Including
11 years, started out as a part-timer, worked his way in. And like I said, you know, and then the basis on the top out for the directors is also linked as a director as well. And a little bit of both involved with it.
Just think once he's topped out, he should be at the level that she was.
Plus inflation.
Just my opinion. If you're doing the same
I love
exact,
the idea.
if you're doing the same exact work
Buddy would
as
pay
the
everybody
person
$1
that
million,
retired.
right? ARPA money, he gonna use ARPA money.
Well, I just
So are you
talking,
saying if somebody gets promoted within the budget year, you don't wanna pay them more than?
Well, you generally wouldn't do that. You would have that planned through your budget
Yeah.
process. Tracy does, we have a couple of departments that are very good about their steps. The sheriff's department's all steps, everything's steps. You know going in when you set your budget, here's what our plan is gonna be.
But that didn't happen.
And
in the first.
apparently this
Well, we
is,
had the payout on the vacations, what threw every inch of everything. We know what her salary was from
Yeah.
July 1 to December.
but the
31.
payout really has nothing to do with anything. The payout's
Well,
the payout.
on that budget
We have no
line.
choice
It
for
comes out of
that,
the salary
but
budget.
increasing salaries does. If you just move money within the budget, you've done
And
just
the
like
reason,
mine.
the reason people have done that, and I've done it, is that forever we paid $12 an hour. And people, once you had that salary built up, sure, move somebody up to where they're at. It was kind of a method of survival more than it was a method of trying to play the
the only, when you said, the sheriff's department has it, but most of the elected officials do not have any any guidelines for pay.
I think Tracy's the only one that's got the full-fledged steps built
You know,
right
that-
in.
That if you have a college degree and you do this and this and this, you're worth this much, if you, whatever. But a lot of our employees don't, there's nothing there that gives us the guidance.
When this
where we-
budget cycle starts, our maintenance department will have a plan level. Our purchasing department will have a level requiring, and our animal shelter actually already has one. They're at the base, and there's 3 different levels of certifications they can achieve that brings a raise with them. They can make up to $18 an hour with 3 classes. Well, they're not simple classes either, there's 3 classes. So they can really make a very healthy wage once classes are complete.
So I'm still confused. Are we still paying Susan?
She's part-time, but once you retire, now sick time can count towards retirement. But any vacation time, or comp time has to be paid out upon retirement.
Answer his question though.
I did.
No, are we still paying
Part-time.
Susan Husky?
Part-time.
He said
Yeah,
yes.
she's working part-time, I did.
Okay, how
So-
much is that costing the county?
120 days a year.
So Matt has stepped into her job and doing it full-time.
Yes.
And he doesn't get a raise for taking on more.
We gotta pay Susan Husky.
No, that's not true. It's what this amendment will do.
I won't
This
vote
brings him
against
up
Matt getting a raise.
To 56, he gets 57 at the end of a 6-month period, and if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's absolutely getting it. This would have to be the 6-month grace period that he would top out at that point.
I don't have a problem with the Matt part of it. Now, I have a problem with the fact that we knew this was coming and didn't plan proportionally for it. I don't have an issue with Matt. That's not mine. There are other salaries in there that are just simply people that are working here and they're getting raises in the middle of the budget cycle.
But I can say, look, I'm gonna make a motion for, and if I get a second, I get a second. We'll make a motion to approve County General Fund 101 as it's written.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve
Read it all.
101 as written.
So it was you and who else? Who seconded that?
William.
William. Okay. Any further discussion on that one?
And that's Fund 101.
So that is raises that are within departments and extra money coming in for raises,
Yeah,
correct?
it's basically, we have a payout for Ms. Husky's
Okay.
retirement, and then it's basically money that's already in their budget.
Okay.
But Ms.
Now,
Husky,
correct me if I'm
Now,
wrong, how
they're
much,
still on that, it's not 100%,
but
that's close.
how
Now,
much difference?
Right now, in these amendments, it's a $6,500 difference just in the wages without the fixed charges. The $7,100 that's included is the payout to Ms. Husky for her paid leave.
We'll just take it out of ARPA, Coach.
And then Teresa Ever, who is the lion's share of that, also became the number 2 in the department.
usually when we give a 120-day contract, they take what was Susan making as full-time?
Right at 60.
What?
Right at 60.
So you take $60,000 and you divide it by 365 days. And what you get, you pay 120 of those. So that's what her 120-day contract amounts to, is converting her full-time pay into $1 a day amount, and then she gets that for 120 days. Now, how she works 120 days, it's totally up to the mayor. However, if she wants to come in and work a whole day, half a day, 3 days, as long as she gets the 120 days in.
And that's hourly, no longer salary, that's hourly.
But it's still based on the same salary.
But just to let everybody know, that's what Susan's making, so I don't know what is the daily amount
Tell us,
there.
Adam. Adam's already got it in there.
No, I'm opposed to 120-day contract.
He's texting a friend right now.
No, I'm texting Steve Harrelson. Well, he's a friend, but yeah.
So,
You said what now?
so 100,
She was
What-
60.
You wanna know a daily
Hourly?
rate or an hourly rate?
her, Susan's pay would be based on
She,
a daily, the only way you,
19,726.
19,000 is what she's making for a
the
120
hourly
day.
rate for, her pay at a part-time position right now is $29.81 per hour.
And is this 120?
That's more.
120-day contract a 1-year thing and then done, or what are we looking at here?
What do you mean?
Is it a 1-year deal, or how long have you promised for her to do 120-day contracts?
I think within 18 months would be fair. That'll get everybody trained up where we need it, and that'll get most of our big projects completed.
You need 18 months.
And I'm sure there's some more.
Yeah, there's more than that.
If I have time to look it up. I'm
Are
sure
they in the county building, or all of them working?
Leanne, she's an actual retired educator. The big difference in salary, she's retired educator, whereas Susan was retired procurement.
Yeah, I know Chias, yeah.
I'm just, she's
wondering.
been with us forever.
Who all's retired from a department just to come back to the same department for 120 days?
Well, that I don't know. Nobody in all.
There's not any.
That's my, I mean, it's nothing against, that's just my issue. I have.
Okay, that's, okay.
All right.
Yeah, now Tammy, keep in mind, Tammy Reynolds, she had just left in 2013 or 20, right, maybe early 2014. And she was HR and she had left, and then with the replacement of her successor, who was actually ended up being her predecessor, Tammy came back and worked 120 days as well.
Tammy came back.
That would be like him quitting though, and then Susan coming back.
Well, Tammy worked part-time. I mean,
Yeah.
she started
She was
working
a 120-day
full-time.
contract.
She was the department head.
She was the
She was a
department head.
120-day contract.
But she was the department head.
Let's go.
We're beating this.
Satterfield,
Well,
moving right along, come on.
All right.
we just discussing it.
I distributed some monthly reports earlier to each commissioner that included the summary of financial statements and, the approved minutes from
Gary,
November
you know,
21st
conversation?
at the budget.
No, not yet.
Okay.
It needs to
Leave
be.
them finished.
All right, Commissioner Waller.
Motion to approve all the bonds and notaries.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Waller, it was seconded over here, Bill James. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
Any opposed? Okay, we got a motion to
Well, let's
adjourn.
go home.
When's the workshop meeting? Is it week after
We
next?
not have to vote.
The 21st.
We did.
Monday is the holiday.
You wouldn't listen.
Okay.
Kyle,
What is Monday?
we're done.
Monday's President's Day. Bob,
I'm not.
I bet you